You're watching Past the Wire TV, presented by AM Wager.
Think horse racing is too complicated? Think again.
And they're off.
Every pro was a newbie once. Meet DRF Newbie, the mobile tool loaded with daily racing form data and the power of DRF AI.
What a shocker!
Get the insights you need fast so you can play smarter and feel more confident. DRF Newbie, horse racing made simple. Try it free today. Visit newbie.drf.
Ciao tutti. Welcome back to another episode of Past the Wire TV. We got Kentucky Derby points up for grabs. And in my opinion, this might be the most key weekend heading into the Derby, and I'll tell you why. If you win the Tampa Bay Derby or you win the San Felipe, you pretty much got your spot in the Kentucky Derby. And what more importantly happens is now you also have a lot of time to regroup and come back with another peak effort on the first Saturday in May. Even if you run again, you could kind of, I don't want to say go easy, but you could back off a little bit, not be all in for the next one. Still be developing your horse and then come back with a peak race. I think the timing is ideal. We are going to look at the Thorograph numbers and patterns on the Tampa Bay Derby. And, how cool would this be? Tampa Bay Downs 100th anniversary. You know who was opening at that opening day for Tampa Bay Downs? Babe Ruth. Historic racetrack, much, much more than it gets credit for. But how cool would it be on their 100th anniversary to get a Derby winner? I don't know. It's a good shot they got a Preakness winner, but we'll get to all of that in a minute. And that would be pretty cool too. Not a Derby winner, but a Preakness winner would be pretty cool on their 100th anniversary. So the other thing we're going to do, and we're going to start with this, we're going to talk a little bit about the San Felipe. But before that, I got three announcements for you, and we're going to roll through this quick. I'm planning to head to Tampa Bay for the Tampa Bay Derby. It ain't all that far from here. So we'll see what happens. There's a couple of restaurants over there that I like to get to when I get an opportunity to do it. And we got Big Race Jim coming in. Eddie C is going to be there. A lot of other people that I like, some that I'm not too fond of, but what are you going to do? Like I always say, there are two kinds of people in this world. Avoid them both. And for this show, I will remind you all, knowledge is not free. You have to pay attention. Our three announcements. Probably next week, we've got a show addressing what I think are some significant issues and questions within the Jockey Club structure, the Breeders' Cup structure, aftercare, other racing-related issues that I think are vital for the industry. It's going to be a live show. I've invited the Jockey Club and the Breeders' Cup to join me. More on that to follow. There's a lot of articles that I've written recently on these subjects. I encourage some of you to take a look at them if you care about the industry, about aftercare, and about what's going on in our sport and where it's heading, even delving into prediction markets. And it's funny, stuff that we were talking about as vital a couple of weeks ago, everybody else is talking about now. Oh, shit, we better get on this, we better get on that. So we're ahead of the curve, and you could kind of really, really get a good picture as to a lot of the stuff that's going on, number one. Number two, next week, Derby Radar. Yes, we got an episode, and yes, Steve Haskin told me he's coming back on with me. So, Steve, if you see this, I'm putting it out there. Steve Haskin next week with yours truly on Derby Radar. Hopefully, we got a little bit of a clearer picture than we do right now because we'll have the Tampa Bay Derby and San Felipe in the books. That's number 2. Number 3, the comprehensive handicapping reports for the Tampa Bay Derby and the San Felipe are on PassTheWire.com for you to see, digest, and take all the information from them that you can glean. So clip that and check them out. Here we go. Let's talk a little bit before we get into the Thorograph numbers on the Tampa Bay Derby, the San Felipe. First thing that jumps out at me in the San Felipe is we may have a 3-year-old Kentucky Derby prep actually run at Santa Anita that my man Bob Baffert may not win. I loved Brandt in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. He seriously disappointed me when he got beat by Ted Nafi, who I thought he was absolutely going to handle. He comes back dangerous. Bob's got another one in there off one win that I was a little bit more impressed with than a lot of other people were in that one start. Bob is always dangerous, but here's my take on that race. You got 2 horses in there that can finish in a race that looks like it can have a hot and or contested pace. And either one of those 2 scenarios, in my opinion, can help start the ride and Secured Freedom. I lean a little bit to Secured Freedom over the 2. I think that he can finish a little bit better. I'm a little bit more fond of the connections. I think, and many of you have heard me say this before, I think Kazushi Kimura is one of the most underrated riders in the United States. I think he's really a strong finisher and really a good rider. And I think he absolutely makes the most of his opportunities. So I think that horse is pretty dangerous. And if he gets the pace to run into, and Tim Yakteen, he comes up with some good horses. He had a horse that might have been one of the favorites for the Derby that didn't quite make it a couple of years ago. I forget the name, but he worked for Bob a long time, so he can jump up and win one of these races. Taking nothing away from the connections of the other horse, but I think they both can finish in a race that might have a good setup for them. And the CHR model agrees with me, so which it should, because it's based on most of my handicapping principles. So we're going to wind up in the same spot, likely more often than not. But the Tampa Bay Derby, let's get to that. So that's my quick take on the San Felipe. Obviously, there'll be more on tracking trips. But I don't know. Tampa Bay Derby, I think, is an interesting race. I think it really comes down to a fight between 2 horses. And I guess knowing the right one can lead us here. But we got to know the right one. So what are we going to do? We are going to look for who is in the field. And hopefully we can figure it out. I do think that the Thorograph numbers and patterns will help us. If you don't have them, you could follow the links on Pass the Wire to Thorograph and get the numbers for this particular race downloaded. Or you can go right to Thorograph, find the Pass the Wire race of the week. It's the Tampa Bay Derby, and get them there. I suggest you do that. Why wouldn't you? Now, Tampa Bay, great card on Saturday. 100th anniversary, going to have nice pools. If you're betting to win, and I love win bets, 0 takeout at Amwager on the Tampa Bay card Saturday. 0, 0, big 0, 0. No matter how many times you put 0 together, it's 0. So why wouldn't you bet with no takeout? I don't know. Maybe you hate money, like not being a member of tracking trips. I don't know, but whatever. Or you live in a state where you can't, like New Jersey, where they kind of limit you to where and when you could bet or what you could bet. But if you don't, Amwager, 0 takeout, Tampa Bay Downs on Saturday. Can't beat that with a stick. if you're going to be at the Tampa Bay Derby on Saturday and you're so inclined to say hello, we welcome all comers. Well, I shouldn't really say that. We welcome most comers. Some people are not welcome. Okay, let's get into these numbers and patterns and see what we got here. Redland Rebels, Patrick Biancone. Pattern moving the right way, 17 and a half, 11 and 3/4, 10. Okay. You know, the 2 starts at 2. He went forward. He beat his best 2-year-old number at 3. I like all of that. I just wish he was a little bit faster. Yes, can he make a big jump forward like we see these horses do? Sure. I mean, he went forward 6 points in his second start at 2. So if he goes forward 6 points here, he's at a 4. Not inconceivable. But it would be another significant jump forward in the second off the layoff. But I would say his numbers are going the right way. And we'll know more about him when we decide whether or not a 4 is in the area where the winner is going to be. Talking is a horse that, you know, interesting. On paper, I liked a lot heading into the Fountain of Youth last week. He scratched and opted for this spot. I thought it was probably because of the extra week and this track being a little bit more kind to closes than Gulfstream Park can be. We've got 7. We've got that 10 in the Remsen, I think, and then first time 3-year-old. He should go past the 7. He you know, his splits, he doesn't finish as fast as it looks like. And if you look at the CHR, you'll see that, you know, his miles per hour deceleration is a little bit more than you like to see in a closer. And that's a knock in my opinion. So it may look like he's finishing faster than he does because he's passing some tired horses, but it's Danny Gargan. I think, you know, in the right scenario, he's okay. I just don't think this is it. I don't think he's as fast and talented as some of the horses that he's going to face in here. And he looks to me like somebody that's going to pick up the pieces. But on the numbers and patterns alone, he should go past the 7. He should go 2, 3, 4 points past the 7. So we got 2 horses looking like they're very easily capable of running a 4. Roger That Dana ran twice at 2, 9, 12, regressed. Comes back at 3, runs a 9. I see a similar scenario. Probably, you know, regresses off the 9 back to a 12. You know, I wouldn't say he's going the right way. Hulkamania, 1-start horse. Race over the track, sprinting at Tampa, running 9 1/4. Respectable, not setting the world on fire, but 9 1/4. Coming out of that sprint, have to think he's going to be some pace in here. But that was a nice race, and he merits a little attention as a pace horse. But good enough here, we'll find out. Going forward, I am not sure. You know, these 1-start horses. You know, I like the trainer. He's good, but I'm just not sure about these 1-start horses. I tend to shy away from them, and when the numbers and patterns come back, you know, more often than not, they regress off you know big wins. But the 9 1/4 is not that fast. So I mean, it's fast, but it's not like wow, he's got to regress like he run a 3 or a 4 or a 2 or something like that. So really can go either way, in my opinion. Power Shift run a big number first time out. Todd Pletcher, he run 5 1/4 and lost to a horse that looks like a running son of a gun from Chad Brown, and he gave him everything that he could handle going a route first time out. This is potentially a very, very talented horse that might have just needed that race. You know. This is going to sound like I'm contradicting what I just said. So let me explain myself. Yes, when they run those fast races and they're 1-start horses, I tend to think they're going to regress off it. It takes a lot out of them, and I shy away from them. But there are exceptions. 1, when it's a certain trainer, and there's a few of them. Todd Pletcher is one. When he comes back with a maiden like this, off a race like that, into a race like the Tampa Bay Derby, tells me that they think that this horse is good enough to possibly get a spot in the Kentucky Derby. So they're going for the points, even though he's a maiden. I think they think he got a lot out of that other race. I think they think he's going to go forward, and I think he deserves a shot in the gate. So that tells me he can go forward and is more likely to. So what does that tell us? 5 1/4. If he goes forward off of that, he's at least at the 4, that key number we talked about earlier. So 2, 3, 1, all very possible. And even if we're wrong about Hulkamania and he goes forward, this horse is way ahead of him already. So if they both go forward, where Hulkamania may go to where he is now, like a 5, where he's looking to go to a 4, 3, 2, 1, something in that neighborhood, and that makes him a contender, even though he's a maiden. And you got to realize certain bonds, Todd Pletcher, Bob Baffert, Chad Brown, Bill Mott, these other guys, they train in sets with all these other good horses. So even though this horse is a maiden, he's no question been on the racetrack with some, classy, fast animals and trains with them. So I always give those horses an edge because they have that experience that other bonds can't match. You got some bonds that are taking their horses out, looking for somebody else to, hey, can I breeze my horse, alongside yours? These guys don't have that problem. They can put them behind, between, in front, any way they want on a racetrack. And that's certainly an edge, in my opinion, in the morning. So, Power Shift, in my opinion, he's a slither behind the top 2, even though he's a maiden. Further ado is dangerous. My opinion, no question. He's one of the 2 that is one of the 2 most likely winners of the race, and probably the most likely winner of the race, if you cut to the chase, and deserves to be the favorite. Hasn't run yet at 3, but at 2, we've got 8 and 10 at Saratoga, regressed a little bit, but then he runs a monster race at Keeneland, 1 negative. Nobody's come close to that. And if he runs back to that, the race is over. But he regresses off that to a 5 1/4 at Churchill Downs. But now he's first-time 3-year-old, fresh, supposed to go past. If he's a good horse, he's supposed to go past his best 2-year-old number, first time out at 3. Well, his best 2-year-old number is a 1 negative. If he goes past that, everybody else is running for second. I don't care where they go. But is he going to do it? I don't know. Remember what we said at the beginning of the show, or what I said about this race being key timing-wise. I don't think you want to fool around in this race and go to the Tampa Bay Derby not 100% cranked. I think you're looking for those points. You're looking for the peak so you can kind of go into the Derby a little bit, fresh and not spent off the Bluegrass, the Wood Memorial, the Florida Derby, the Arkansas Derby, those other races that are also must-wins if you don't win one of these, but a lot closer to the Kentucky Derby. So you kind of got to bring it twice. Now you only got to bring it once, then you get that break. So I would tend to think Further Ado is cranked up and ready to go past that, 2-year-old number, or certainly close to it. Major contender. Time to recover from that regression, and certainly looks like he's going to run a big race. Thunder Buck. Thunder Buck simply looks too slow, even though he's got a pattern that suggests he's going to move forward. At 2, he went 14 1/4 and then 9, so 5 points forward. Now he went 15 3/4. He goes to Brendan Walsh's barn. That's a positive. Nothing, no disrespect to anybody, but Brendan does very, very well. But he's got to go at least 11, 12 points forward to be a contender here. Good luck. Not for me. The Puma. The Puma is interesting. A lot of people like the Puma. What do we got? We got 4 1/4. We got 8 with a troubled trip. How troubled? That's debatable. Can he go forward? Absolutely. I'm not going to question that anything that Gustavo Delgado or Ramiro Restrepo, who I think very highly of, he's a personal friend and he absolutely knows what he's doing. I ain't going to question them when they're trying to bring a horse to the Kentucky Derby, because I did that with Mage. I talked to Ramiro, the whole time they were pointing, Mage to the Derby. And I was like, maybe you should do this, maybe you should do that. And he's like, we're going to do this, we're going to do everything they did right, and I was wrong. So every step of the way, they made every right call, and they won the race. So I'm not going to question them. I would take a different route and a different, path and a different plan with this horse. It's not my horse, and like I said, they absolutely proved me wrong. I liked Mage going into the race. I thought he was absolutely a contender. I mean, if you go back and listen to that Thorograph show, dangerous is what we said. Dangerous. The Puma, I'm not sold. I'm not sold on the trouble in the last race. I'm not sold, on the two hard maiden efforts and still not coming through. He's going to have to prove it to me that he belongs here. They believe he does. I'm going to say show me. And maybe we'll put him in the winner's circle with that, but we'll see. I don't know the answer to that. Canaletto impressed me as much as any of the Derby prospects so far this year. I mean, Chad has the two that I like the best, Paladin and Canaletto. And now I believe that, Chad's publicly said, and it kind of has that look to it, that this might be a Preakness horse. Like I said, it would be great to see Tampa Bay Downs have a Preakness winner race in the Tampa Bay Derby, or a Kentucky Derby winner race in the Tampa Bay Derby for their 100th anniversary. That would be just a hell of a story, and something that racetrack and they just deserve it. They really do. And Canaletto can be the one that does it for them in either one of those races, in my opinion. Very impressive maiden race. The number's right, 6.5. Absolutely looks like he's going to go forward. That was a one-turn mile. Doesn't look like two turns will be an issue for him at all. Lot of upside with this colt. I think he could wind up as good or even better than Paladin, as the year progresses, in my humble opinion. I wish he had an earlier start and was, clearly a Derby Trail type of horse, but he's not. He's looking more like a Preakness horse, and that's fine. Chad is as good as anybody, knowing when to skip the Kentucky Derby and go and win the Preakness. He's done it before. Clip that, and nobody better than him when you do that. So Canaletto is super dangerous in this spot. I think him and Further Ado are the two most likely winners. Probably give a little bit of an edge to Further Ado because of the experience, but little of an edge, little, sheet of paper kind of thing, in my opinion. A lot closer than a lot of people may think. And the other one, like I said, is really Power Shift. And anybody else, in my opinion, would be a really big surprise. I think the race comes down to those three, with a slight edge to Further Ado. Canaletto being, a sliver behind him, and maybe Power Shift being a sliver behind him. But again, when you got horses with those one starts and they're going to break the rule, and in my opinion, go forward against the rule. And we explained why in both cases. So I'm not contradicting myself. I'm just quantifying what I'm saying. Who knows how much forward they can jump. So you got three talented horses that look like they're going to go forward. And that makes it a very intriguing and interesting horse race. And also an interesting race for wagering. Because in my opinion, the way I got to approach this race wagering is I got to decide which one of those three I'm going to go with. And then I just take that one and I bet against the other two, because that's just how I do it. Other people do it differently. But you got to play the way the game that you play the game the way that you you've beaten it for years. So that's how I go about it. So with that, thank you everybody for tuning in. A quick hit show. Hope you all enjoyed it. If you do, hit the like button, subscribe. Don't miss nothing. We got a lot of great stuff coming up. If you could catch that live show on the State of the Industry next week, watch for it. I'll put in an announcement when it's going to be once I decide exactly when it's going to be. Would love all of your support on that. And let's go get him this weekend. Gio's got to show up, I believe. Gio's got his own channel, Focus to the Finish. So all the rumors going out there that Gio and I are on, had a negative parting of the ways. That's not even close to the truth. We still talk. We're still friends. We've known each other a long time. He was part of Past the Wire for a long time. We just kind of decided it was time for him to do his own thing. He has his own way of doing things. He likes to do things a certain way. He enjoys it. I like to do things a certain way. We're going to do shows together in the future at some point. It's just tough to schedule everything with life and everything that's going on. But I do believe, I'm not 100% sure, but I do believe he's got one of his deep dives on the Tampa Bay Derby on his channel, where he'll go through every horse meticulously like Gio does. I heard it's a 9 and 3/4 hour show, so you better have some time to watch it. I'm just kidding, but he does those deep dives with a lot of enthusiasm. So and there's always golden nuggets in there somewhere. So you may want to check that out. And if you're playing the horses this week, zero takeout at Amwager. Hopefully you are this guy as opposed to anybody else. And again, and this is the most important, if you're playing the horses this week, on the way home, this is how we should look. Oh yeah. Ciao, ciao.
Here comes journalism, here comes sovereignty, and they square off, head into the final furlong. Sovereignty wins the Derby!
You're watching Past the Wire TV. Hit that like button and subscribe to Past the Wire TV. Nobody does it better.